I'll just okay. Welcome to today's SIG community meeting. It is July 2nd. Our meeting is now being recorded. So welcome everyone. And I don't think we have any announcements. So we are just going to jump into our first agenda item, which is with Bailey. All right, handing it over.
Hi, y'all. So I have been running a community live stream that's basically monthly updates around the house of the Bike Code Alliance Foundation. I think generally it's been helpful, but I have some ideas for how to make it better. We don't have a ton of live attendance, and I think that's for a handful of reasons. I think the primary reason is that I don't always tweet about it or, remind people that it's about to happen like that would obviously be helpful. Um, I think the second part is that we've been running it with Restream because we wanted to be able to have a tool that, maybe it had a little bit more polished experience and had really good moderation tools. This was also before we had Zoom established for the Bike Code Alliance. Now that we have Zoom, and Zoom does a really good job of being able to like push somebody to the waiting room, if they, if there's anything that's kind of questionable. I would probably propose that we switch it to Zoom so it has more of a community vibe, anybody can jump in and talk instead of Restream. I think that the other problem is rotating time zones is really confusing for people to have a consistent way to show up and participate. And since I don't really get any live attendance, we can pick any new time and just establish a cadence from that one time that works well for the people who are going to run the meeting. Um, for me, I ran it previously. I'm in the Eastern time zone, so I've been rotating it between 11 a.m. and 9 p.m. my time. Um, and my hope was that that had, kind of a broadish overlap because it definitely covered Europe, and then the 9 p.m. would cover Asia Pacific. Um, but I think it's more important to get the community involved first, and then maybe we could add a time zone after that. It's my thought, but I'm open to other suggestions there. And I think it would also be really helpful to rotate chairs. When I started doing this, I wasn't a CTO at the time, and when I started kicking all of that off. So I've gotten a lot more responsibilities since then, and so it would be really nice to be able to share the burden. I think that there's a bit of legwork that I do, and I'd be happy to still do that legwork, but maybe if somebody else had the hosting skills, that would really help me out. And to describe the legwork, I, am usually pretty in the loop on most of the changes that are happening across the Bike Code Alliance, so I'm able to just like, splat out a list pretty quickly off the top of my head of things that I think we should cover. And about every month, I haven't been super consistent about it, but about every month I convince at least one engineer to come and I ask them questions and go deeper on one specific topic instead of trying to do, medium level on multiple topics. And so the current format is, give all the updates, especially things that I think are coming that'll change, that'll surprise people. So I try to really hone in on those, like, hey, major version change to Whammer. Let's talk about that. We are now depending on a different version of Rust, and let's talk about that for WASM time. So there's several things like that, but just reiterating what our current initiatives are is really important, because I think a lot of people don't know. And so anyways, I think it's valuable to have something like that, but it's hardly a community stream if it's just Bailey gives updates. Stream isn't as good. So I would like to fix that, and I'm totally open to ways to do that. That is my down low on the current situation. Mike's back to you.
So of the you know things that she just said, I do a live stream pretty much uh for my job. So I just from there, what I've noticed is that the shifting time zones bit, even though it's in the best interest, it really doesn't help. That's the first thing that I have noticed. Again, uh, I've tried doing it for Asia Pac as well, because I'm from Asia Pac, and it would be really helpful if, we could have something that's more friendly for us. But catering to the entire Asian Asia Pac continent, subcontinent, whatever it is not possible, because we have like time zones going as far as GMT plus 8, 9, and you're trying to go as far as a GMT plus 4, 3, which is a very broad span, and then there are sub time zones there as well. So it's really not possible to accommodate all of that. So you either got to stick with um, one time zone, or have like a duplicate stream for each of them. Like, that's the first thing. um the reason is, it's not possible to go for both of these time zones. It's not possible to accommodate all the Asian time zones and all the Asia Pac time zones, to be really very honest with you, along with Europe and America and the rest of the continent. So that's the first thing. The second thing is consistency, and I know you've been doing this for a really long time, but I think where we're missing out is probably the fact that you alluded to earlier, that we're not talking about it enough. We're not exactly, promoting it enough on our socials, and elsewhere where we should be promoting it, like within the Bike Code Alliance Zulip chat. Sure, it's a great place, but those aren't the only people we want to attract. We also potentially want newer members to come in, and newer members to listen to stuff. So talking about it and having it tweeted out, not just from your own social media account, but also from like maybe the main uh, social media accounts for Bytecode Alliance on LinkedIn and Twitter would help. And doing so in advance, not just on the day of, really helps, so that people know that they have to show up at this hour to actually view the stuff. um the third thing I would say, even though there's not a lot of live streams that get around 150, 200 plus, if irrespective of the time zones you keep it at, um there is a lot of replay value that comes in when you publish it on YouTube. So maybe even then, even with what you're following, I think the best um, couple of suggestions would be to sort of amplify it a little more, and follow a cadence when it comes to sort of amplifying it as well. Like, have a definite set in stone strategy. So at my day job, we like I just made it up. I'm just going to be very honest. I just came up with something that worked for me, and I do that. Primarily because I was the only one managing things right now. Now I have to share it with another person is another thing, but being the first child in my team really helps. So I just end up like doing what works for me, and then hopefully, Olin can come and do whatever he wants. So in a similar way, we try like coming up with a strategy as to how we want to amplify it beforehand, and then we do it for the next couple of sessions and see if it brings in more audience. Um, but that is like the couple of cents of advice that I had.
Well, I agree with all of it. And I think we should implement it that way. I also want to highlight that I think I've asked people to, hey, go ahead and know the agenda, and I edited the README, like you can put whatever you want on here and I'll play your video. Like that was something that I wanted to establish for the Bytecode Alliance that we don't currently do in a lot of spaces, which is play videos that people have pre-recorded. That was my other try for accessibility for people that are in other time zones is like I'm game to present anybody's content if they ask me to. Like I presented Yasha's presentation in the last WASI subgroup. Super happy to do that. But also, I think things are better when it's in their own voice. Now, sometimes when we ask very technical audiences to do that, that's pretty big stressor for them. So, that's also why I leave the interview format open. Like, okay, don't plan a presentation. I'll just ask you some questions. It's very relaxed, fireside, don't worry. So anyways, I'm happy to do all of those things, and fireside chat in a time zone that works for them, a time that works for them. If we pre-record, then we can just, play the video as part of it too. I think I've tried a lot of things. I haven't had a lot of stickiness, but I think there's lots of reasons for that. Obviously not having much visibility in terms of marketing it is probably problem number one. But I think if we had one established time instead of a rotation, that would help. I also think that adding to an agenda item in GitHub seems to be a blocker for people. And the reason why I've been testing this hypothesis, and I found that if I just offer to add it to the agenda for somebody, they're much more likely to be like, yeah, I'll present then. And I just go and put it in the GitHub agenda, and then they do show up and present. But if I ask them, yeah, like just add a PR and add it, that tends to not happen. Which I think is neat finding. And I think a way to fix that is maybe a Google Doc, right? That might be more approachable than GitHub. What do y'all think about that idea?
Would that just be for agenda tracking? Or like, I guess, topic tracking?
Yeah, I guess the motivation there is that I don't want to be the czar of all the topics that we cover just because, there's going to be bias of like, these are the things I'm into and excited about. So that's why it's top of mind and that's why I'm going to go through it. I want people to feel like Christoph Pedig, he came up with such a cool project, just independent. And he's posted about it in Zulip, but last time I gave the community call, I was doing my normal thing, which is like an hour before trying to wrangle it all together, and I forgot. And I would love it if other people all around the world maybe pre-recorded a thing or added an agenda item or just was like a Bailey, make sure you talk about this thing. Any one of those would be wonderful to have, and I would want to facilitate for that. I think having it be in a GitHub meeting or PR is like too high of a barrier.
I think in addition to like changing whatever format that we go with, to like, create a backlog of topics, it probably also makes sense just to like, like a week before, like, put a calendar reminder for yourself to be like, check in on topics, right? Or like do like a call for like ideas or submissions or whatever. Because I think, yeah, especially if you're like recording something, like people will need time to do that. So I think just kind of having like an actual consistent reminder to do check-ins might be helpful. Yeah, I have like everything on my calendar, even like when to like switch my contacts, like, so I'm all for like writing everything down.
Yeah, no, my calendar just dictates my life at this point. But unfortunately doesn't have a lot of openings. But yes, I think that's a great suggestion.
Is there a way to, I know on Slack you can like schedule like, like scheduled reminders, right? Like, is there some way to do that on Zulip where it's just like a bot or something that triggers a message that's sent every whatever amount of days?
Probably, yeah, I can look into that. I don't think anybody's in the community stream is the other thing, right? Like there are, sorry, hang on. My, let me show you what just happened. I think you guys will like that and they can be immortalized on the recording. There's a puppy here, and he just rang his bell because he needs to go to the bathroom. So, I, uh, okay, yeah, my mom's got it. All right, sorry about that. Yay, holidays. What I was saying there was, even though I have that reminder and I go around the house and ping people, I think a lot of our technical folks don't like being on camera, recorded, presenting, etc. There's some people that go above and beyond and are amazing. Shout out to Jill, for example. But I'd like to also find a way to have a cadre of people that can consistently come on. That would be really helpful rather than hitting up one or two of the same people consistently.
Yeah, just a couple of comments quickly. So one, I think as someone who's attended in over the course of the number of months, I think Bailey as host and what she described, the various different flavors of you. If you watch the streams, they tend to have, different characters depending on who the topic presenters are. And sometimes it's a video and sometimes it's a fireside chat and sometimes it's someone who's not comfortable presenting. And I think one of the things that makes them work is that Bailey's always able to impedance match to the presenter and the content and ask them questions and highlight things that she thinks cool about their work or how it impacts the work that she's doing with her teams at Cosmonic. And so that part of it, I think, having her do is awesome. Things we can do to support and enable and make that easier for her feel like a good thing for us to try and figure out. I think having a Google Doc or a Zulip channel or a HackMD or something to manage the editorial calendar, the agenda and topics and have people suggest things and recruit volunteers or whatever, and then behind the scenes manage a PR that gets it into an agenda document on GitHub. If that helps the content and the discussion, I think that's a totally fine thing to do. And I think we should try and help there. I think that also would help in lining up topics to come. So Bailey doesn't have to, the day before, 24 hours before the call, she's scrambling around trying to cajole somebody into coming and present something. So ways that we can help make that easier for people to volunteer or volunteer other people, nominate other people or suggest things or tie it to other discussions that are happening. Maybe we want to get somebody from SIG Embedded who just had their first couple of meetings to come to the community stream at the end of the month and announce it and talk about it and whatever. And so if there are things we can do of that nature, you had a couple of suggestions, Bailey, and you and Karen and Divya. I think we should do them. I think they're all good ideas and we can try them. Maybe Google Doc is a great way to do it. Maybe it should be a Zulip channel, maybe both. I don't know, but we should experiment. And you're right. We're not a marketing forward organization. So we don't have a Twitter account with thousands of followers. So that's not a great channel for us, but I think we do have board members and TSC members and project leads and others. And so maybe we could streamline that, pre-write the tweet, whatever, get Ralph to tweet it and then retweet it, stuff like that. I think there are some ways we could manage across those things, and I'm happy to experiment and try and help make those things happen.
Also with regard to topics, and the whole format bit, I also believe that when we're talking about audience drawing, and this may be difficult, we probably should standardize or at least attempt to standardize the format that we are going to go with, because I've noticed that switching up things ever so often really ends up not really impressing the people who are trying to understand or make sense of the community stream or whatever. I tried that with a lot at my job. It didn't really work out. So again, from experience, it really would help if we attempt to come up with a format. Again, does not need to be today, but just what should be like the skeleton of the entire community stream according to you. We can try it out based on the success rate that we've had so far, check the most popular ones and then sort of narrow down the kind of format that has worked, that has more viewership as opposed to maybe some that don't have as much, and then come up with a skeleton and stick to that. that would be another thing that would probably help ease the viewership into the whole, stream in general, because otherwise it's going to be like, hey, I'm tuning into this monthly stream and this seems completely different from what happened last time. So um, while novelty works, sometimes it doesn't always sort of give you the results that you want to see when it comes to live streams. So um, that's one of the things. And in addition to what Karen said, and David and you said regarding the um, sourcing for topics, using bots or using a call for submissions, I think it would be very helpful to have a okay, thank you. It would be very helpful to have a Google sheet, not sheet, Google form or something up and running, so that you could continuously take in the submission, and that would be recorded as like in an Excel sheet at the back end. So you have those topics ready. Now to socialize this, again, you will have to use some sort of strategy. So maybe obviously plug in during the community stream, that would help. But also before the community stream starts, maybe we pick a couple of weeks before the community stream, we send out this and time box it to a particular um, time frame, like maybe say a fortnight before the community stream starts, we send this out, say that we want people to submit it, but the cutoff for this community stream is XYZ, whatever, and then take those submissions and reach out to those people and accordingly form a agenda based on the skeleton we decide. So it allows us to have a rolling submission um, you know form ready, but also we are saying that there is a explicit cutoff for this stream. After this any submissions will be taken for the next stream only. So like we set the rules because we have that power. So that's what I think would help.
Sure. Now I have asked for topics. I do want to be clear that I've never actually been sent one. That would be really cool. So right now we have the problem of nobody wants to talk. So any way that we could make that happen, that would be cool. I just didn't feel right. Just talking through a bunch of updates and then ending the stream. I always felt like it would feel much like a community that way. So let me run down the proposal. I think of what we've settled on so far. Let's pick one time and be consistent about it. I still think it should be on the last Tuesday of the month, and not change that, but pick a slot. This is very much the Bike Code Alliance Day. My calendar is just like wall to wall of Bike Code Alliance related meetings, so why not add another one and make sure that that's consistent there. We'll switch to use Zoom. We will create I'm game to do the Google form idea. I don't know if people will submit anything, but hey, maybe forms are less scary. So let's try that. That might even be less scary than editing somebody else's doc, right? Even if it's a Google Doc, that like might be like a bridge too far for people, but a form, that's like for them to enter their thing. So that is a good idea. So let's add that. And then yeah, we set the agenda still, so we get that control. That's a good call out too. So I think we should adopt all those things. And I guess I'm assuming that the SIG community should own the community stream. Are we in agreement on that? That way, bus factor, I can't do it 1 month, somebody else could run it. That would be really helpful to have. That did happen last month. I had a family thing for that week and I wasn't able to do it. But that was the only one we've missed so far. And I've done it at 4 a.m. and all kinds of other crazy times so that we kept it consistent. But anyways, pose that question. the community stream, or we could call it the community meeting. I don't know. I've actually called it different things. I wasn't sure what hit. um, should that be part of SIG Community?
Wait, just to reiterate, like, so I know you mentioned you were doing a lot of like the legwork, and you would love help hosting and all that. Like, I guess like for your now question, like what part are you proposing that SIG community own? Yeah.
I would say that it would be great to have SIG Community own the agenda doc, setting the agenda, or at least have oversight of it. And you know, I think probably would own the Marcoms side of this as well. That's definitely not something I have any skills in at all. And so having that support would be really great. I'm game to host, right? Because I think you do need to make sure that you're diving into the technical topics. And like I said, when we have these deeply technical folks talking about compilers, you've got to kind of like, so we just said baseline. Why would you want a baseline compiler? Like bring it up, you know? You do have to have somebody that has the technical context, which I'm super game to keep doing. But I am dropping the ball on all the other stuff currently, so I'm looking for support on that.
So I think based on, okay, let's assume you like go with your, was it the last Tuesday of the month? That will never be during one of our calls, which is great, at least the timing that we have now. So then do we kind of want to use the like do we want to use our third Tuesday meeting as like a like do we want to take a moment of that to then like prep or like review for your stream then? Because it should be in theory 1, maybe 2 weeks before, if it's like a 5 Tuesdays of a month kind of month.
That's a great idea. Yes. Yes. I found scheduling meetings to get work done is easily the most reliable way to get work done.
Divya, do you have thoughts on that? That was just a proposal.
No, I don't have any thoughts on that, particularly because I think it's a good idea to, go through stuff before. So I don't think I have any thoughts in that. But I do have a question around, you know, since Bailey mentioned that we don't have a lot of people who are enthusiastic about presenting, save a few. Um, I don't think that's easily I mean, it's not something that has a remedy, and it's like it's not something we can actually um help with. Like we can't give public speaking classes for that for sure. But um like how are we, like, again, even if we send that form out, what if we don't get responses? Like that is a contingency plan that we have to plan for, because if we don't get responses, it's again going to be um Bailey live on Zoom, giving updates. So how do we want to address that? Like I want to think up of backup plans for that as well. And I know maybe we might get like maybe we have like a 100% success rate with the idea we just floated, but we always need to think of the off chance that it doesn't happen. So like what if it doesn't work out? What if we do not get responses? Like what is the backup plan then?
Well, my current backup plan has often been to bring David along and talk to David some. There's usually lots there.
And I'm happy to do that. I think there is, we can have some standing agenda items, right? Which is like, and ask them. I think Karen's suggestion about, okay, well, at the a week before, maybe 2, depending on the month, at the community meeting, let's check in on topics and agenda. And I think we can have some standing questions. We can, okay, well, what's new with the alliance, right? Is there anything new from an alliance perspective across the board in TSC that we should talk about, and have somebody come and do that? I think we can get habituated to some stuff where it's like, you know, if we recognize a new recognized contributor, let's get them to come spend 5 minutes introducing themselves and their work. If we launch a new SIG, let's get the SIG chair to come spend 10, 15 minutes talking about the SIG and their work. We adopt a new hosted project. Let's get somebody from the project to come and talk about their work. Somebody posts something in our blog post on bytecodalance.org in the news column. We should just, I think we can coattail or associate the, you know, presentation in the community and just run through a list of, you know, what's happened this month, what's new since the last community thing. Waiting till the last minute, maybe not the best thing, but I think if we identify these things and say, every time we do this thing over here, you know, we announce an event, we had a plumber summit, whatever, we can use the community as a way of raising the awareness, and we can use those other normal course of business activities to provide agenda content for the monthly community call. And if we get, you know, we get people, maybe they don't want to, but if we have the convention that if you're a new recognized contributor, come introduce yourself, maybe we can make them comfortable to actually doing it. So.
And that'll be so much easier with a Zoom instead of with Restream, right? Any person in the event, I think, should be public. And that's very similar to some of the CNCF more presenter style streams that I've seen them do. Like the marketing one is really good usually. Now, I don't want it to have the vibe of a marketing one, but having a set like presentation that you run through with set topics that you can see ahead of time is I think would be really helpful. Has been aspirational for me to do that. I haven't always hit it.
Wait, so just to confirm, and make sure that my notes are right. So the idea would be that like we do the form, right? And we do call for topics and whatnot. And then if that doesn't get filled out, then it sounds like based on the list of what David had suggested, like we can create like a list of things to go down to pull updates from like whatever SIGs, new contributors, whatnot. And then yeah, basically, I guess fill the community call with our backup list of questions if we don't get submissions, right? Okay, cool.
Which is essentially what I've done just about every time, so no problems there.
Yeah, and I also think we shouldn't underestimate the value of our Zulip server. We got over 2,000 account holders on Zulip. There's a lot of people out there. We get more, that may be even more Twitter followers than Ralph has. So I don't know. I'm going to check now. But that's a lot of people. And so there's a channel there that would be relatively easy for us to use to solicit ideas, to recruit presenters, to create awareness, or send out reminders, the recordings available, all of that kind of stuff. So.
And just to plus one to what you just said, Bailey, and David, so I vaguely remember when I joined the Kubernetes community, I think it was like 5-6 years back. They used to do this monthly call thingy. I used to be a lurker for way longer than I should have been. So I used to lurk on these calls, and they used to do this on a monthly cadence. They used to have one person hosting it, and like you just said, that there'd be another person reading through the updates. And what essentially would be the thing is, I think they used to field for the updates. I don't know how they used to do it, but they used to get updates from every SIG on a monthly basis, and they used to have that call. I don't know why it was discontinued. That's the thing. Because when I became a chair, they didn't really want me to do anything like that. I'd have been happy to do it, but now they don't do that any longer. They don't take in updates from every SIG and present it on that monthly call. But I think that would be a very good way to backfill items in case nobody wants to present. And we can sort of like have our own, hey, these are the updates, these are the new things, sort of a thing. But again, we need to time box that whole Google form submission thingy, so that we can we are well prepared with these. And this is not a last minute endeavor. Like the whole point of us trying to do Google Forms and this is to take some load off of you. So I think we should time box whatever we're trying to implement in terms of like sourcing the thing and tell them that this is the time box, and outside of this we'll not be accepting the thing for this particular uh, community stream. It'll be carried forward to the next one. And if there are no agenda items after that particular time box period, then we have the time to actually prepare the whole thing. So, I mean, we need to account for that and accordingly socialize it on Zulip or wherever we are planning to socialize the Google form.
Okay. Let's make sure that part's recorded. Then I think that basically answers what needs to be done. I can work on this async. And the goal would be for this month to be adjusted to this new style. That's a goal. I'm gonna actually be in Japan July 8th through the 19th. So feasibly, I think I would start working on this that week that I'm back. If that's okay with everybody. That's still close, but I'll tell you what, if it's 5 days before the last Tuesday, that is 5 days earlier than I used to assemble this. So if that's all right with y'all, that would be what I suggest. Is that okay? Otherwise, I'm happy to hand it off to somebody. I know I'll be coming back and have a load of stuff to catch up on.
Wait, so you'll be gone on the 16th, right? Because that's when our next meeting is.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, that's fine.
And I see that we're over time. For the next time we meet, I'd also like to talk about how we could create more written content at some point. The other aspirational thing that I had that I never actually finished following through on, is I think all of these updates generally make for a great blog post or mailing list style thing to link out to all the things. Just haven't had time to create that content. I think that a lot of people, they're either in the camp of watching on YouTube or they're in the camp of reading. And I'm in the camp of I hate writing. So I did the I did the video because that was less work for me. But it would be great if we were able to start creating more written content. I am gonna try to my other goal by the end of the month is hooking up Eric, who I think some of y'all have worked with in SIG documentation, to write more like readable release notes for at least WASM time. That's one of our big projects within the Bytecode Alliance. And if we could start kind of getting a regular blog post about that, that might help. And it also helps that it's on a monthly cadence and not, ad hoc or very frequent. So that seems feasible. Anyways, I guess I dove into it and I said I wasn't going to. I'm sorry. I see that we're over. I'm going to stop talking now.
One other quick thing for Divya and Karen, you should have received resends of the invitations to the 1Password account. So if you didn't, let me know.
I did. While y'all were talking, I just managed to sign on. So yeah, I did for sure.
Any action items for the next call? I guess Bailey won't be here, but we should probably better articulate this next call. So.
I think one of the outstanding action items on both of us, Karen, is that we should probably announce it in the Zoom that we have a meeting. That's on me. I actually typed the message out, but I forgot to hit enter. That's on me. Like, I have the link and everything. I forgot to hit enter and I went to have my dinner. So that's on me. But I think we should do that. And I also think like talking about it like on the day before, like maybe Monday, like tweeting it out or posting it on LinkedIn would help from both our accounts so that it's not just the three of us or the four of us on. I'm happy chatting with all of you It's not that I don't like seeing your faces, but it's also that we need more people. So I think that's the outstanding action item that we should probably take on ourselves.
All right, agreed. Sounds good. Cool. Anything else? Otherwise, shall we wrap up? Oh, question for David. Are these getting ported over to YouTube? Do we have to manually do that, or the recording, that is?
So they don't automatically get ported over. We have to do it. And the way this nominally happens is email goes out to the SIG admin alias from Zoom when the cloud recording is complete and ready, available to be downloaded. And that email has a link in it. And so when you get that email, you can download the video and then you log into YouTube and upload it to YouTube. So at the moment, you all will probably see the email from Zoom saying the cloud recording is available to be downloaded. Once you're in the 1Password account, you'll be able to see the credentials for the YouTube account. And then the idea is that it should be, as SIG chairs, you should have all the tools at your disposal to be able to do that. And so we'll make sure that happens this time, and then you should be in good shape going forward.
And if anybody knows of a way to automate it, let us know.
That would be great. So somewhere in the corporate relationship between Zoom and Google, I'm sure there's a conversation about that, but we just haven't come across it yet. I'm told there are third-party workflow things that can do it, but I don't know, giving them the account credentials and managing that across everything else may not be the best idea. So for now, we do it manually. And that also means that if there, for some reason, you need to edit the recorded video or delete out something or whatever, if we ever decide we want to add transcripts or other stuff, we can do that too. So
there's a way to do that. It's through Zapier, the integration, but that's again third party. It's not I mean, you have to have like a whole thing for it and to pay for it, and then do the whole razzmatazz. There's no direct way to do it currently, as far as I know. And even to get that working, there's a lot of trial and error involved. So yeah.
all right, I will stop recording now. And then we'll have the recording and we can upload it, and we'll see you all next time.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, everybody.